Hey, this is Ashleigh
and Colin from the band Tulip, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Brutally Delicious!
How are your nerves? Did you get that thing out? Or are you still holding on to it?
I'm waiting. It just hit Spotify now. And
oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't have Spotify. So I got to find a way to get the links to the song and all that stuff.
I can get it to you later if you want.
Yeah, I'm sure I can get it. I used, so the people that make Pro Tools just started a thing called Avid Play.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs $4.99 a year to get your songs to every streaming service. And you get to keep 100% of everything.
So it's $499?
No, $4.99.
Oh, really?
And you get 100% of your royalties. They're one of the few services that give you 100%. But they don't give you the link to the song. So I'll call them today to see if there's a way. Maybe I'm just not seeing it.
Right.
But it was so easy to do. Like, basically, you just upload a 4,000 by 4,000 pixel image, throw it on, put up your 16-bit 44.1 WAV file, pay, put in your metadata, and off you go. It took me 5 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's beautiful.
Yeah, remember the days when distribution used to involve trucks and fucking glass masters? All that shit. Now I'm just like
the good old days.
And even then, that only got it to my house. Right.
Right.
Didn't get it anywhere else.
And all the other stuff.
And somebody else had to buy it in order to hear it, Now it's there, and they just either listen free and it's ad supported or whatever.
It's pretty exciting, though. I mean, I've watched it. I've listened to it a bunch of times. The song is catchy. The video, I think my favorite part of the video is the left, right, left with those screens. And then right after that, those the Chinese marching.
Yeah.
Because they're right in time. It's perfect.
Yeah, that took a long time to get that in time, man. Holy shit. That took a while. But I'm really proud of it, man. It's the feedback I've got so far. I've showed about 5 people, and everyone has said the same thing. Really, just wow,
right?
And they think it's the best thing I've ever done.
That's beautiful.
I'm very concerned, though. I'm pretty concerned about it.
Well, you have Skype in Vancouver. If you get deported, right? We could still do this.
Well,
it doesn't affect the show at all.
No, it's not just about getting deported. Although, I had to talk to my wife about that. But she said, "You know what? You have to do it because it's a social statement that you have to make."
And art is, like I told you last night, art's meant to make people think. So,
like, I was just writing music. I was never even gonna put it out. I wasn't gonna let anyone hear it.
Right.
So,
Which in the end, I guess, is what we're doing here too, right? Because we're not millionaires or driving Maseratis or making any money off this thing. So
no, it's just fun.
We're just keeping our 5 listeners informed of what's going on.
Yeah, with urethra
in
sounding.
the sexual deviancy world.
Dremel dildos. Anyways,
what have you been listening to this week?
Oh God, I should not have said that. I'm going to erase that before I send it to you.
Oh, the Dremel dildos?
I'm not going there.
Is there a story?
There is.
Oh, you got to go the story now.
But it's not a Dremel. I don't know what it is. I think it's called like a Sawzall or something. Anyways, I had a friend of mine.
Here we go.
And this is terrible. He met this girl, and this friend of mine, let's just say that every time he's had a girlfriend, he's also had 10 at the same time. And he's always been that way. He'll never change. He just loves having sex with lots of women.
Right.
So he met this girl, and the next day he comes over. He's like, dude, I know I'm freaky, but last night was really fucking freaky, man. I was like,
oh, no.
I was like, what happened, dude? He's like, well, I met this girl on this porn site, and we were talking about all this dirty stuff or whatever. And I was just like, you met a girl on a porn site? First of all, that was my first reaction.
Right. It's going bad right then.
Yeah. And he's like, she has this dildo, but it's made with a Sawzall. And I was like, what the fuck is a Sawzall? And it's like one of those things that
I know what that is for sure, yeah.
So she modified it and put a dildo on it and made him use it on her. And I was just like, dude, you could have fucking killed her. He's like, I know, it was really fucking scary. I was like, holy fuck, dude. Most people would be like, you know what? This is a little fucked up. I'm going to walk away from this. But he was just like, well, I'm going to try it once. Got a story to tell now.
That's beautiful.
That's yeah. For anyone that's listening to this, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's not much worse than all the other crap we've talked about on here. So
no. Lesson to self though. Don't go to porn sites looking for women.
Yeah, that's odd in itself.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to this week?
Fuck. I just listened.
I know your stuff, but besides that,
I just listened to the Tulip stuff. That was fucking great.
I like it. Right? It's good and groovy.
It's kind of like I don't want to say they sound like Epica, but it's got that same symphonic metal
vibe. And it's got a good groove to it, I think.
Yeah, it's really good. And their marketing machine is quite good too, I noticed. Like they really play it up quite well.
Yeah, I dig them a lot.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see though who does their orchestration. Like, is it a band member? Do they hire someone else from outside to do it? And obviously, with them, they're probably not using a real orchestra because, I mean, bands can't afford that. I don't even think Epica can afford a real orchestra when they're tracking, right? So, like, for those of you that don't know, I only know about Canada, so it's probably more expensive in the U.S. But if you hire a session musician that for orchestral arrangements, you have to pay union scale, and it's $150 an hour with a minimum call of 3 hours.
Yeah, so you're looking at big money.
That's per person. So, yeah, an orchestral session, like a film orchestral session, can run upwards of, like, for a small 3 hour session, can hit you up around $20,000.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's intense.
That's crazy. I've been listening to the Devil Wears Prada. I think I may have sent you something a couple weeks ago. The album dropped last week.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, dude.
It's a good
If you
record.
get a chance, go check it out. It's so good.
I did listen to it. It was kind of strange for me. I wasn't expecting that from you because they're more like emo kind of.
I don't know what they are. See, I saw them. I mean, I've been a fan of them for years. I saw them back on the Monsters of Mayhem tour, I think it was, with Slayer and King Diamond and whatever a couple years ago. And they were so good live. Great. Yeah. And they're heavy, I think. You gotta listen to the new record because it goes everywhere. It's got a little bit of the emo stuff in it. This one's got some choir stuff in it, some shit. But then it's, he's crazy heavy too. But I like it because it's like off time and down tuned and different.
It is very different. I agree.
It's not a formula.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I like it. And I mean, I get it. It's not for everybody. But I totally, I'm digging it this week anyway.
Yeah. And what else have I been listening to this week? Well, Death Angel, that's always on the playlist.
You hear the new Machine Head song that he released?
I haven't, no.
And all that controversy between him and Dope?
No, what happened?
Apparently, he released that song. It's called Do or Die. I think it's called Do or Die Motherfucker.
Yeah.
And throughout the lyrics, he's just kind of, and I'm a huge Machine Head fan, probably one of my favorite bands, but I guess apparently in there he's just like spouting off about how there's not a metal band in the world that he hasn't influenced, and I don't know, he just starts. And then they got to a squabbling match about stuff with the dudes from Dope, and they were sending videos back and forth on YouTube. And finally, yesterday they had some sort of like olive branch passing or something. Now they're back to normal. But I love Machine Head, and I've already got to put in that we're the first time they do press, Amy over at Adams with a PR is supposed to be hooking us up because that'll be like my goal there. But nice. I think it's sort of a loose cannon at times.
Yeah. That's
which may add to his art as well. I don't know, but I mean, if you ever get to see a Machine Head live, dude, it's like a religious experience. It's so good.
I'll have to check it out.
They do this thing.
I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
They do this thing for like the last, 5-6 years where they just do an evening with Machine Head and they go out and play 3 hours straight, no opening act, just them, and they just play. No intermission. They just fucking play, and it's so great. I know they're going to be in Baltimore, I think, on this run coming up.
You know what? I saw them, and they were fucking killer.
Yeah, where'd you see them?
I saw them in 95.
Oh, great, right?
It was amazing, and I saw them in a club that held like 250 people max, and it wasn't full.
Wow.
And it was in Vancouver, and I remember it now. I was like, fuck, why do I know that name? But man, they were so good.
I've seen them a number of times over the years, and boy, they're just so fucking great. I've never been let down.
Let's see.
He may be a loose cannon, but he puts in like 130% to his shows.
Hello.
Hey, Chris, you there?
I'm here.
We've got Colin and Ashleigh from Tulip.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Fucking fantastic, thank you.
Doing well here. Chris, you got good levels?
Yeah, I got everything I need, man.
Awesome. How you guys doing?
We're good. We're good.
Yeah, we're doing well. Can you hear us well?
I can hear you great.
Yeah.
Great.
Perfect.
Sweet. So if you don't mind, we'll just go ahead and jump in. And I think the best way to start this is, can you guys give us a 2-sentence elevator pitch of Tulip?
Ooh. Two sentence. Yeah, you can do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Tulip is a symphonic metal band, and we're from Texas, and we love bouncy, groovy polyrhythms.
Yeah.
So put all those things together.
Beautiful.
That's us.
Nice.
It's funny you mentioned the word groovy, because we and Chris were talking when we first got on here. That's the first thing I fell in love with when I put you guys on, is it's definitely got a beautiful groove to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was very important for me.
Yeah, I agree. I love it.
Yeah, me too. As soon as I heard it, I was like, I don't think there's any band in the U.S. doing this kind of thing right now.
Well, I think it's just us.
I think so. I mean, I'm a huge fan of bands like Epica or Semblant or whatever, but you know, you guys have your own kind of take on it. Who does your orchestration for you?
Sorry, you cut out there. Who does our writing or
the orchestration?
Orchestration. Colin does.
Yeah, I do everything with sample libraries. So I use primarily the East-West Symphonic Orchestra.
Cool, great sounding libraries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very realistic. I've tried some others, and this one seems to be the best, at least for the way that we kind of approach it.
Yeah. I have LA scoring strings, which is quite good, but I don't know if it would fit really into the rock band sense. You know, it's pretty woody sounding, I guess, is the best way I could say it.
Mm.
Yeah, the East-West stuff, they've got a couple different options. The more contemporary one is the Hollywood Symphonic Orchestra, and it's a little more upfront sounding, and believe it or not, like in my tastes, I guess, I felt it still felt a bit too like dry.
Yeah.
So it feels better to me to have the orchestra sound a little bit more, I guess, ambient. Even though that doesn't seem intuitive for metal, it helps at least the way that our songs are written to have it kind of behind the music a bit.
Right.
It fits in perfectly. So did you take orchestration in school, or how did you get into doing this kind of thing?
No, I'm mostly self-taught in that respect. I mean, I grew up playing guitar, and I did take lessons as a kid, so I did some rudiments, theory, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So mostly just from playing guitar. And to be honest, it took a couple of years before I got good at it. I mean, I started making symphonic metal probably about 10 years ago now, and just experimenting. And it took a while to learn how to work with different registers and how to, which instruments worked well for different parts. And I'm sure I'm not doing it entirely correctly, but it works, at least for what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, that's it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the band for a second. You guys chose to release a cover of "Pray for Me" by Kendrick Lamar. How did that come about? Because that's sort of unusual for, I would think, a metal band.
Yeah, when Colin was like, I don't have a metal background, so I was an opera singer for 10 years, and then when we got together, we started making music together. He kind of sold me on gent metal because I was a hip hop fan. So that's sort of how he like kind of sold me on the project, and which is why you can feel all the groove in our music. And because on stage, when you guys see us live, like I do a lot of dancing, a lot of movement, and we all do. We're all very active on stage. And so we both, Colin liked the song more than I did, I think, but you hear it on the radio all the time, and I love Kendrick Lamar. And then he just started kind of playing a version of it instrumentally that sounded different and unique to me. And then I was like, yeah, this is actually going to work really well. So that's pretty much how it came about. We hear things all the time that we want to try and make metal covers of. So we actually have a hilariously large catalog that we haven't put out that we just kind of play around with for fun. We have like Robin songs, and just because we want to try it sometimes.
That's pretty awesome.
It works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you become more of a metalhead as you've been involved in this, or are you still just part of it and, listening to other things outside of?
No, I've become a complete, I'd say I'm like such a metalhead now. Like when I have to say, like I've said this before in other interviews, but like this community is full of the most interesting, wonderful, amazing people that I had no idea. And when we just finished our tour with Evergrey, those guys are like the most phenomenal musicians. The guys that we toured with as well from Shattered Sun were like the best people.
Marcos is a really cool guy.
Oh yeah, Marcos is the best.
Yeah,
we had like just the most amazing time with all of them, and so yeah, now we like. I really, because I come from like a classical background, I want to learn everything. So I've become like really obsessed. Like lately I've been really into, how do you say, is it Behemoth or is it?
Yeah. That's the way I would go with. Yeah.
Okay. So I really love them. And then like I'm super getting into Gojira, and Colin got me into Meshuggah because of all of their polyrhythms. And so I think I'm become like a real student of it, and I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that just to add to that, the special thing about metal is that it is so eclectic. It's a subgenre of music, but it's almost an entire world unto itself, where you can have everything from like brutal just deathcore all the way to the more ethereal symphonic stuff and anything in between. So it gives you. There's a lot of options there in terms of finding something that suits your taste, even if you don't have a background with metal. So we've had a lot of fun with it over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm still learning a lot, but we've also been going to a lot of shows so that I can kind of observe what happens there. And so we've seen some really great touring acts.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of in the same boat. I was not a metalhead until about 2011. And part of the reason I'm doing this show is so I can learn more about what's out there.
Right.
Bruce is a diehard metalhead. He's been doing it forever. But for me, some friends of mine started a cruise like 70,000 tons of metal.
Right.
So I went on the first year just to support them and be like, hey, man. And then next thing I know, I'm standing in front of the stage watching Epica rip my face off.
Right.
And then having beers with them afterwards. And I'm just like, okay, I'm a metalhead. I don't know what happened. But it's like you said, the community is just so...
It's so great.
It's when people think of metal, oftentimes they think of so much violence and whatever.
Oh, yeah, no.
But when you're there, it's like big family, like I met Bruce on that cruise in 2011, and we've been friends ever since. It's been an unbelievable experience. I have to ask you something. This is kind of strange. Are you Canadian?
We are Canadian. Yeah, we're Texans now. We moved to Texas about 2 years ago, but we grew up in Canada. Yeah.
Ah, okay. I can hear it in your voice. I was like, man, it sounds like this weird hybrid of Texas and Canada. This is really strange.
Yes.
Ashleigh's getting better at saying y'all, but still a lot of the Canadianisms come through.
Yeah, my out and about around the house comes out.
I just moved to the U.S. too about 2 years ago from Vancouver, so that's why I asked. I was like, man, they sound like there's certain words you're saying. I'm like, that's totally Canadian, man.
I know. Yeah.
I know. But Bruce has been disconnected here.
Oh no.
He said he will come back in. Just let me see where he is.
Okay, cool.
He's having internet issues at his house today, which is never fun.
No.
But
so, Chris, where do you live now in the U.S.?
I live in D.C.
Oh,
Well,
that's an interesting
North
change.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife. My wife was transferred down here, and I own an audio software company. I make virtual instruments, so
neat.
I can work wherever I want.
Right.
So, yeah.
Jeez, you make virtual instruments. Well, like what? Like what? Can I buy?
Yeah. I make drum libraries right now. So I partnered with a company from California called Platinum Samples.
Okay.
I don't know if you know them or not. They did like the Evil Joe Barresi drum libraries and Andy Johns and all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
And I've been a professional recording engineer for over 20 years. So, yeah, the studio I was working at was closing down. Hey, Bruce, you're back. And
Man,
hey, welcome back, brother.
this is the second time this week the internet connection just absolutely sucks.
You just missed the best part. They're Canadian.
Yeah, I heard all that. I heard all about it.
Here's a question though. How did you adapt to Fahrenheit and miles? Because that shit's fucking me up.
Yeah, we didn't. We still say it's 40 degrees when it's hot. Yeah. Yeah. And people are like, "What?" Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We have that conversation on this show quite often.
Yeah, and they like Gojira. So they're already in my good books.
Right.
So I'm going to be honest with you. Metalhead from way back, I don't get Gojira. They don't resonate with me at all. And that's because...
Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know why
you'll
that's just
change your
become a
fucking
thing here.
mind.
That's so funny.
You know what? Like the thing about Gojira, they didn't resonate with me at first either. But when I listened to them, the way I explain it is they're very grown up writers. Like their riffs are just correct in my mind. Like when we listen to the latest album Magma, like every song, they're simple riffs, but they're just like correct. And that's why like I didn't grow up listening to Metallica, surprisingly, but they're kind of like my Metallica now. You know, like when I want to listen to something that's like straight ahead metal, just guitar riffs and drums, like Gojira does that for me. Plus their live show is ridiculous. So that's
what Chris keeps telling me.
Their live show will blow your fucking mind.
Yeah.
So when we did, I won't say that. I can't say that out loud. When they opened for Metallica, I was at BC Place Stadium in Vancouver, 60 fucking thousand people. Mm-hmm. And Gojira was the only band I've ever seen in a venue of that size where they sounded the same as they did in a club.
Right.
Like there was...
Yeah, I could see that.
It was unbelievable. The whole place was just like, nobody knew who they were. Which was funny, but everyone left that show, and I think they sold out of merch that show because
for sure.
People were just like, "Holy shit!" Like to be honest, they blew. Who was the band that came after them? Oh, God,
Volbeat.
Yeah, Volbeat.
Volbeat.
They blew Volbeat off the stage. They blew Metallica off the stage.
Yeah.
In terms of sound. You know, not the stage show because they were first on and it was like still sunny out. You know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could nerd out at an engineering level on how they achieved that, but I know like they definitely use the EVH amps and they have like ISO cabs off stage and the whole thing. So they managed to get it like really tight sounding, but anyway.
Well, and I think that their live sound engineer is also their recording engier.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would be
sense.
smart.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get back to Tulip.
Yeah, let's get back to it. So when you guys write, yeah, I don't know if you've listened to this podcast, but we go down rabbit holes quite often and we're all over the place. But eventually we get back to what we're here for.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes.
Bruce, turn off your video.
Okay. Why?
Might free up some bandwidth.
There we go. Yeah, save some bandwidth, brother.
Is that better?
Seems to be.
Yeah, but now you can't get to see me.
I know. Life is better.
Anyway, what I was saying is now that, when you guys are writing, are you guys all writing together or is it more the efforts of one particular member of the band and then they just bring it to the rest?
So we're a couple. We're married.
Okay.
And so we write everything together, just the two of us.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, and the guys are pretty much just come in for the live shows, I'd say. And then for some of the recording, we're going to have our drummer live track and our guitarist do some solos.
Yeah.
Right.
And on the Canadian angle, like they're, Brandon is based in Windsor, Ontario, which is west of Toronto.
Yeah.
And then Ryan is in Toronto. So it's difficult to get everybody together. Like, to be honest, we don't even rehearse when we play live. Everybody rehearses independently and we show up and play. Like, they're great players.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a problem in that
That's
respect.
awesome.
But hard to get everybody together.
So what brought you guys down to Texas then? I'm interested.
Lots of things. I mean, for me, I work as a engineer in my real life, not an audio engineer, but an engineer.
Yeah.
And so, job related in some sense. Also, just, we loved the idea of being in Texas because of the culture and because of, just having affordable property. Like living in Toronto is based.
So expensive.
From
Vancouver.
Oh, I get it. That's the main reason we came too.
Yep.
So yeah, we love it down.
We love it. We love the heat. We do not complain at all.
I would love
I'm
to
with
have
you.
that heat
Bring the
all
heat.
year round. Right now it's fucking cold here. It's pissing me
Yeah.
off.
When you guys are writing the song for like how it's going to come across on stage in a live setting, or are you writing a song for the song's sake and then you have to adapt it to the live setting?
I think usually the way that I approach writing, so our process is kind of, I write the instrumentals, Ashleigh writes the lyrics and melodies on top of that, and there isn't a ton of collaboration in that respect, although we certainly like give each other feedback. But for me, we usually start with an overarching theme or idea for an album. So in this case, we've got a full length coming out, hopefully within the next couple of months, which we can talk about. But it's called High Strangeness, and it deals with some ideas thematically that we wrote the songs to kind of fit, at least in their spirit, let's say.
Yeah. And the themes.
So,
the content, yeah.
So yeah, the songs, and I grew up playing, video game, like console games, Sonic the Hedgehog and that kind of stuff. And I've always liked the idea of levels, like levels have different sounds. There's like a space level, and then there's like an underground level, and there's a water level. So our writing, as silly as that sounds, sort of is reflective of approaching things in a thematic sense like that. And then Ashleigh's lyrics, tag team on that, and kind of she deals with those themes lyrically. So most of the stuff comes out as instrumentals first. I often write the instrumentals in MIDI, which Chris, you'll be familiar with. Just like they sound like retro video game songs, and then we turn them into fully realized orchestrations and metal mixes.
Yeah.
So with that being said, then is there a message you want your fans to walk away with after listening to a Tulip record?
Oh my gosh. Well, the EP was like about our exodus from Christianity. So we left evangelicalism. We were kicked out, actually. So that's what Tulip is, an acronym actually from the Calvinist tradition, fundamentalist Christianity. So we have kind of turned it on its head. And that's what the first EP that you guys have heard is thematically about. And then the next one, the High Strangeness, is going to be about all kinds of different ideas, that we're exploring now that we're not part of that community. But
so not necessarily religious.
No, so I don't think we're getting into anything religious in this album. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about it in more detail. Basically, the album is dealt with or split up into three separate parts. The first section is above, and then it's below, and then it's within. And those sections sort of represent the relationship between, the paranormal and the supernatural and, the sort of subconscious all wrapped into one human experience, and how, as people of, I guess used to be of faith, or at least in the type of faith that said that we had it all figured out. Now we're investigating all of it in a more general sense.
Yeah.
And
right.
Cool.
Yeah. It's fun.
So what was it like, moving to Texas? Because Texas has a fairly high, evangelical population, does it not?
It does. But, the thing that's, I think, people don't realize about Texas is that they put freedom first, and kind of you do you and I do me is their number one priority. So yes, there are lots of people who are very evangelical there, but mostly they leave you alone.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and being so close to Dallas is actually like quite metropolitan in its feel, and it's very progressive. And also we live close to Denton, which is kind of like a mini Austin. Lots of music up there at UNT. And so you'd be very surprised. Like people are it's not country bumpkins. It's like really sophisticated, educated, cool people.
It's more libertarian, right? It's less conservative than it is libertarian.
You go into like the real sticks, then you're gonna get some. It's gonna be real. It's gonna be really red. But for the most part, it's people are just focused on like you leave me alone and I'll leave you alone.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. I can't go anywhere around here. Every time I leave the house, someone's asking me to join their church.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
DC is interesting that way. Do you know where Rappahannock County is?
No.
Okay. It's like kind of it's an hour south, I think, of DC, and it's where all the politicians have their like big country homes.
Oh, okay.
And I did an opera there, so I lived there for 3 months, and there are tons of Christians. You're right. There's so many churches, and people. Yeah, it's real.
I'm in Richmond, which is right in that general area, and you're 100% right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
God's territory.
Lamb of God, yeah.
Yeah, people can do whatever they want. I just don't want it pushed on me, really. You know?
Yeah. Of course.
There's always something out there for people, but I don't know. I'm not big into the whole, like, have you found a church yet? Well, no.
Right.
There's one down the street if I want to go.
Right. I can find one easily.
Yeah, yeah. Or people showing up at my door. But I did have a really cool experience with that. And this goes back to Gojira. And I've told this story on the show before. But I'm walking down the street and I'm wearing a Gojira shirt. I'm like decked out in black. And I'm walking my dog, and there's some Jehovah's Witnesses walking down the street, and they're handing up pamphlets and knocking on doors. And I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, here we go. I'm wearing the devil's shirt. What's going to happen? And the guys walk by. He's like, I love that band. That's my favorite band. And I was just like, I was like, fuck, is this an in to try and get me a pamphlet?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, they're great. They're really nice guys, too. Oh, have you met them? Yeah, I interviewed them. Oh, that's awesome. Metal. And he just walked away. And I was just like, fuck, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, that moment taught me right there that I should stop being so judgmental of people, you know, and just kind of take them at what they are.
It goes both directions, right? There are some Christians and religious people who are hyper judgmental and very binary in their thinking. There are others, like, for example, my parents and my sister and her brother, or her brother, my brother-in-law, her husband. They're very understanding of, you know, our position and all of this. And it's not a blanket statement at all to suggest that, you know, the church is categorically bad or Christians are idiots or anything like that. It's just that in our experience, there are certain sects that certainly fall into that category, but you can find some good people in spite of that on both sides.
Absolutely.
Would this be a too personal question to ask? What got you kicked out of your church?
Oh no, it's not too personal. We wanted to get divorced and be together, so that's why. We got married really young to other people. Like Colin was 20 and I was 22, and then we met later in life, and we didn't want to be married to those people anymore. So we asked the church if we could get divorced, and they said no. So then they kicked us out. They excommunicated us. Yeah.
So you said, fuck that.
Yeah, we said sorry.
Pretty much.
Then that was it. And now we're together, and it's a crazy life, but yeah.
Life leads you down crazy paths all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to steer it back to Tulip for a second.
Great.
Again, we're off on a tangent. Are you guys planning on taking this on the road at all?
Yeah, so we just announced yesterday we're going on tour in Europe with Tarja from Nightwish. So nice. She's now does her own thing. So we're going out there in April for 3 weeks or so to support her.
Nice.
And yeah, we just came off our first tour with Evergreen Shatter at 10. So yeah, we're hitting the road.
There will likely be some more dates in between now and April, but
like in the US.
Just probably one-offs.
Yeah. Yeah, we might do something with the Shattered guys down in Corpus, and then we might, just play some one-off shows or festivals in the stateside.
How do you find the American fans or even Canadian fans when you play live symphonic metal? What is their reaction to what you're doing?
Well, I think, the types of shows that we've played so far have been metal shows. So the people that are there are the people that are expecting, to listen to that type of music. So yeah, it's not unlike any metal concert. People are headbanging and moving. And I think I've personally experienced within the symphonic space, because I've played in bands prior to this, but within the symphonic space, you have a slightly more sophisticated audience, I would say. And that's not to knock other types of metal, but certainly you've got the type of people that listen to exclusively symphonic metal because, they're maybe a bit older. There's the classical angle there. It seems to in some way relate to the gaming community too. Seems like you've got a lot of
overlap there.
Yeah, like tech type people.
And I think because I'm singing, it goes down a lot easier. Like a lot of my friends who came to our show in Toronto who had never been set foot in a metal concert before, they loved it because I think they were expecting there to be growls and stuff, but because I'm singing, it was really, I think it's a good introduction for them, and they liked the heaviness of it. We're actually quite heavy when we play live.
I actually think that's kind of what sets you guys apart a little bit in this kind of genre, is that there is no screaming. You know, like every other symphonic metal band I've seen, at some point during the song or even in the show, there's screaming.
Growls.
Yeah. And I didn't hear, I don't know if you do that or not, but I didn't hear any of it when I was checking out your music.
We don't have any in the recordings. Occasionally Brandon and I will just layer with Ashleigh when we're playing live. And we had thought about recording some screaming for the full length, and we decided against it for that reason, because we can always do it live for just some added intensity. Mm-hmm. It's not off-putting to people in a live setting, but if we added it to the recording, we would probably alienate a percentage of listeners that aren't, for example, Ashleigh's friends from high school. Mm-hmm. These are all just regular women. Yeah. But they listen to our music.
They love
voluntarily.
it. Yeah.
They love it, and so it's to your point, it's a good way to keep people, into it. And it's just as heavy, Ashleigh's voice has a lot of power to it, but we don't have to go down that path, to make it heavy, I would say. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bruce, are you there? I think Bruce is gone again.
Oh no.
His internet's going through hell.
Where does Bruce live?
He lives outside Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, right. So I'm guessing where exactly that there would be such...
he's in the woods.
He is, he is.
In the woods.
He's got chickens.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man. He's got chickens, dogs, and he lives on I think an acreage. I'm not sure. I've never been to his house, so I don't know. I just know he has chickens, and he always says, I live in the sticks.
Right. Yeah.
So what virtual instrument software are you guys using for drums while we wait for Bruce to get back here?
Man, do I know a thing or two about virtual instruments? So I have historically used Addictive drums.
Yeah.
So Addictive drums are on the EP. They're programmed on the EP.
Yeah.
And I've got a ton of my own samples that I usually blend with. I've never loved the Stephen Slate libraries except for the CLA library, the Chris Lord-Alge library. So I've got that layered in and around. And then recently I've at least for demoing the full length, we're going to do live drums, but I've been using the Get Good Drum library, which is the Periphery guys.
Nolly.
Yeah, Nolly. So I've tried most things, but those are the ones that have seemed to be most useful to me. I steer clear of Superior. Everybody uses Superior, but that's exactly why I try not to use Superior and just go with something different.
I think the Superior drummer interface is probably the best for user, ease of use.
Yeah.
But every library they put out sounds exactly the same. So
yeah. And for me, because I write everything in MIDI, like in real MIDI in a scoring program, there isn't a need for me to really work with the interface, save for loading the samples in.
Yeah.
So it's more about just getting samples that sound as real as possible. I mean, it usually boils down to cymbals in that respect. Like the cymbals, that's why I love Addictive. For some reason, the Addictive cymbals feel the most natural to me.
Cool.
And they don't have like a real tight decay on them somehow that I notice with other sample libraries.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Well, you know why they do that is to try and save space. So
yeah,
because cymbals, like, I mean, my God, they
yeah,
eat
sure.
up. Like in our first library, if you load up one of our rides, it's like 3.2 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to check it out. I was not familiar with your company before our chat today, so I'll give it a Google.
I'll send you a link. I'm not trying to promote it or anything. I'm always just curious about what.
I mean, I'm looking for new options all the time. So
yeah, the cool thing about us, which you probably wouldn't use, is that you can actually host VST and audio unit plugins right inside the interface.
Okay.
So you don't have to split them out into separate tracks when you're mixing.
Okay.
It's
cool.
Super fast. It's much easier.
Do you have a Pro Tools AAX version of the plugin?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
That's all I use is Pro Tools.
Good, yeah.
I mean, we test every DAW, but I can't work in any other DAW.
Yeah, me neither.
It drives me crazy.
I know.
This is getting way too technical while we wait for Bruce, but like, I don't know why they call it Logic. It's illogic. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. And I don't know if it's just a product of having like used Pro Tools first, but and historically, I don't think it was as good because I mean, I've been on Pro Tools since like, I don't know, Pro Tools 6 or something. And there was so much there was no delay compensation unless you had to. And then there was also you could only do real-time bouncing and real-time comping and stuff, but they fixed all that now. So it's like now I can offline commit tracks. Everything's like, delay compensated. So now the problems that were there initially don't apply. And to me, the workflow and the intuitive nature of the interface is because it feels more like a board, right?
Yeah,
it's just
simple.
Then why wouldn't you use Pro Tools at this point? And now it's subscription too, so it's like it's not even terribly expensive like it used to be to own it. But
no,
anyway,
I agree. I've been running Pro Tools since 5.1. So like I bought it with the Digi 001, like, God, I don't even know, 99 maybe it was. And I've been using it ever since. I work with Avid sometimes. I've done some blogs for them. And I just love it. I can't, like, everyone's like, try Reaper. So I tried Reaper for a day. I was like, this is fucking terrible. And
yeah.
Same with Studio One. I was just like, what's the big deal here? This is terrible.
I know. I guess if you're like the thing with Reaper is because it was free, I suppose it was a good, entry point for a lot of users if you wanted to get into it. But it functions like it's free to me. It functions more like using like a PC desktop or something, the way that you can like highlight tracks and, I don't know. I don't love that approach to mixing. I like to be able to just treat it like it's a board in front of me. But
yeah, me too. I don't know if it looks like Bruce has completely lost his internet. So
no.
I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay.
No worries.
Usually Bruce does this thing where he asks random questions. So this podcast, Bruce always bills it as like Howard Stern meets Seinfeld about metal.
Love it.
So,
great.
So we're usually much more, crazy. But since Bruce can't be here, I'll be calm. What's one thing you want people to know about your band? Like, just if there was one thing that you could tell somebody about your band or your music, what would it be?
I would say that we're all really great live performers. That we're all very strong musicians, and that what you hear, we're going to be better live than on a recording. That's like something I take a lot of pride in. Is that it's all real performances in real time. It's not with any auto tune or any editing live. And I'm barely backed at all when I'm singing, and everybody's playing really tight. We're really strong as a live band.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
From a mix perspective, you can imagine too that having an array of speakers and subs and everything, you're going to get that whole breadth of frequency spectrum that you can't quite squeeze into a tiny mix on you know, your headphones. So it's pretty,
earbuds don't really match up.
yeah.
There's so much like inauthenticity in, especially I'd say pop music today. Like anyone can fake it, and we are definitely not doing that. So we found each other because we are all really strong live musicians, and that's why it works when we're performing.
So I assume that you've taken a ton of classical voice lessons then.
Yeah. So I did 2 degrees in voice. I went to Northwestern and University of Toronto.
Yeah.
And then I sang all around the world as an opera singer for a long time. And then when I was switching into metal, I found that I was still singing classically, and I didn't want, even though like I know a lot of women rather in the symphonic metal space sing that way, I didn't want to sing that way. I wanted to be more like a Lizzie Hale or like Tatiana. I mean, not with the growls, but just like sing with more power. So I contacted Melissa Cross, and she became my vocal coach, and she put a lot more heat into my vocals. She helped me, sing live in a way that wasn't really classical, but was still singing in a healthy way. So she's kind of been my guru through this whole, transition.
Well, it's so important to sing healthy. A lot of people don't think about that. We talked with the singer from Allegiant a few weeks back, and he's actually a vocal teacher. And
okay.
So he gave me a vocal lesson on screaming, which was really cool. Holy shit, man. Because Bruce asked him, how do you do this every day without hurting your voice? He's like, it doesn't hurt at all. What are you talking about?
Right.
But, you meet a lot of like older metal musicians that have been doing that forever, and their voice is just, they're just messed up.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think like there's that famous Tom Waits story about how like he would just scream into a pillow all the time, and that's how he got the growl in his voice. And now that's just what his voice is like.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's just destroyed.
Cool. Well, I guess I can wrap this up. Is there anything else you guys want us to know about Tulip?
Well,
stay tuned.
Yeah, we've got
our socials.
The full length coming out. We're not entirely sure how we're going to release it just yet, whether it's going to be self-released or through a label, but that should happen within the next couple months, hopefully first quarter of 2020.
Yeah.
And so stay tuned for that. And just keep an eye on our website, which is wearetulip.com for our tour dates, and same on Instagram, We Are Tulip. That's where we post most of our real-time content. And thanks for having us on.
This is Ashleigh from Tulip, and you're listening to Limited.
This could be
Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much, you guys. I really appreciate your time, and we'll hopefully see you in Virginia sometime.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris.
Thanks.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello out there. Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.